Hey, and welcome to another sketchbook session. I will be using mostly brush pens today. My favorite is the Kuretake brush pen number 22. I have two of them, one is a little more used up and the other one is still juicy. I'm pretty sure that I bought the first one and then Kuretake sent me some art supplies for free and the other brush pen was in there. So just to be transparent about it, I think most of the stuff that I'm using in this video was gifted to me. I put some washi tape on the more used ones so I can tell them apart. Both of them have a purpose, and I enjoyed the light and broken up lines the dry one makes. It feels less intimidating to work with it. If I end up disliking a line, then I can simply use the other one to draw over it. And if you are thinking about using brush pens more for sketching, but they are a little too intimidating, this might be something you can try out. Finding a brush pen that isn't super juicy, or using one with a light colored ink and then use the one with the darker lines on top of it. I also decided to show the references I'm using if I'm using one, because I often get questions about whether or not I'm using references, and I do all the time, but I feel a little self-conscious about showing the references I'm using. I feel like I don't stick close enough to them. The first thing I drew was this head, and there isn't a very close resemblance to the photo that I used as a reference. One of the reasons is that it is the first drawing, so that's always a little wobbly, a little crude, not as good as the later ones. But the second reason is that, especially for female faces, because I draw them so much, I don't feel like I have to stick that close to a reference, because I feel more familiar with it, I'm feeling more comfortable with it, and I don't need that much help, or at least that's what I like to tell myself. Later on, when I get to the elderly gentleman, I will stick a lot more closely to the photos. I don't draw old guys that much, so I need a lot more help with that, and I'm a lot more focused on looking at what I'm drawing. For the blue and green lines, I'm using the Kuretake Zig Clean Color Real Brush. Okay, that was a name. So these are water-based dye ink pens with a brush nib. These were also sent to me by Kuretake for free, and I haven't used them as much as I would have liked. I'm actually expecting another package from Kuretake, which I'm very excited about. I didn't have a whole lot of time for playing around with art supplies this year, but now that I'm starting up my YouTube channel again, I think it's a perfect time to play with them. I have lots of stuff that I've barely touched or never even opened, so there will be more exciting videos in the future. I'm not sure if I'll get around to it this year though, my husband is still traveling every week. Not the entire week, but I don't get as much done as I would like to on the days he's gone. I think we will spend a bit more time in my sketchbook for now. It's a lot more convenient for me to film. I worked on the spread over the weekend on and off whenever I had some time, and that worked out fine for me. Also, if I keep spending this much time in my sketchbook, I might even finish it this year. This sketchbook is an Arteza sketchbook. I bought it myself for once, something I bought myself. And I enjoy it a lot. The funny thing is that I remember this paper being in a bigger sized hardcover sketchbook. I think it was one of the first sketchbooks that I tried from Arteza. But it was years ago, and eventually I couldn't find that sketchbook anymore, not on the website or on Amazon. Arteza sent me some more art supplies to try out, and one of them was a square-sized sketchbook, which turned out to have the paper from the sketchbook that I was looking for. And then I couldn't find that one anywhere, and now the paper is in this smaller sized sketchbook. So for whatever reason, this paper ends up in different sized sketchbooks, or maybe they even have it still in some other sketchbooks that are a bigger size than this one. It's just not always so easy to find something on their website. It is a little cluttered, but I will have to look into it once I'm finished with this one and I'm looking for a new sketchbook. I've sped up parts of the footage so I can fit a little more of the process into the video. I'm so slow when I draw with the brush pen, even more so than with a pencil, so it takes forever for something to happen. And I prefer not to speed up my videos anymore. I don't like the way it looks, and it's also not a good representation of how fast I am really. But sometimes it's just a better option than slicing everything up. Recently I've noticed that there are a lot of Wednesday Addams fan art videos popping up on YouTube, and I was thinking that maybe I should jump on the bandwagon for the algorithm and all. Far too late, as always, of course, but I guess I would have to watch the show first. My husband started watching the first episode and disliked it, so I'm already not super excited about it. We don't always end up liking the same shows, but generally he is a lot more forgiving and open when it comes to TV shows and movies. I'm a little more stuck in my ways and get annoyed and bored very quickly. But I watched Dragon Age Absolution recently and I didn't have a whole lot of expectations because Netflix is always hit or miss for me. And this time it was definitely a miss. Which is a shame because I am a huge Dragon Age fan. The games are my favorite games of all time, and they aren't the pinnacle of fantastic writing and storytelling, but they will always have a special place in my heart. And oh, by the way, this part might be a bit ranty or spoilery, so if you don't care that much for it, or if you plan on watching the show, mute me. I don't want to spoil anything or taint your opinion about the show before you even watched it. Okay, I hated everything about it. The characters weren't very likable, and okay, maybe that's not that easy to do, make us care about the characters, because the season had only 6 episodes and one episode is only around 20 minutes, but Cyberpunk Edgerunners made me care about the characters, and Cyberpunk is definitely not my favorite game. Another show that's also pretty short is I Am Not Okay With This. It's only 7 episodes and every episode is around 20 minutes. And I really liked that one. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the story, so the length really shouldn't be a problem when it comes to telling an interesting story and having intriguing characters. Both of these shows, Edgerunners and I'm Not Okay With This, made me feel something. I cried like a baby by the end of Edgerunners. And I mean, I am a crybaby when I watch movies or TV shows, so that's already not very impressive. So it's kind of even more disappointing that the only feeling I had while watching Dragon Age was cringe or being annoyed. I also think it was a lot smarter to end Edgerunners as a standalone story. There could still be more seasons that are set in Night City, with or without Lucy, but if not, then that's completely fine, because we got the whole story. And that's not the case with Absolution. I can't imagine there being a second season. I can't imagine anyone that isn't a hardcore Dragon Age fan even liking the show a whole lot. It just felt like massive pandering to the fans, like, oh my god, they mentioned Kirkwood. There's Skyhold. It's a shame really, because the world of Dragon Age and its lore is so much more interesting, and I feel like they really missed an opportunity there. But that's enough about that, I just made myself feel annoyed again. At this point I was pretty much done with the page, but I wanted to fill the white space left with something. I didn't care a whole lot about it, so I decided to change the pen. I'm using a fine liner, and the lines are a little more stiff, less delicate. The perspective is also a bit off, but I also think that it looks a bit more charming this way, and it helps the spread to look more interesting. Generally, when it comes to sketchbook spreads and when I want to doodle without actually exploring something or sketching out ideas, I try to make it somewhat appealing by always having a main doodle or drawing. In this case, it's the first drawing I did. Later on, I will color it a bit more with alcohol markers. I also like to have some additional color throughout the page, but I keep it minimal and stick to 1 or 2 colors. And changing up the pen or the style also helps to make it more interesting. I guess this is my fake social media aesthetic sketchbook spread. It's all about style without any substance, but I much rather sprinkle in a couple of these pages with the intent to show them throughout the sketchbook than to worry about each and every page. And I think I'm gonna sign off now. It's getting late. I can barely talk anymore, but I still want to finish this video. So thank you so much for watching. Take care and bye!